Hello everybody, I'm going to read you a story, and it's a story that we're going to be working on this week for our English tasks. Now I've never done this before, so bear with me and we'll see how we get on. So the book that I want to read to you all is called Katie in London, and it's by James Mayhew. Katie in London by James Mayhew. London seemed very big to Katie. Big trains, big buildings and big crowds. She held on to Grandma with one hand and her little brother Jack with the other. And they all got on to a big red bus and set off to see the sights. When they got to Trafalgar Square, Grandma was tired. I'll just have a little rest, she yawned. You two stay by that lion, and then I'll know where you are. Katie climbed on to the big bronze lion and pulled Jack up after her. As the sun came out, the lion seemed to turn from grey to gold. Do you mind? Said a deep, very deep voice. It was the lion. Who said you could clamber all over me? We're very sorry, said Katie. Grandma said to stay with you. Then I suppose you must, sighed the lion. Now, what shall we do? We wanted to see the sights, but Grandma fell asleep, said Katie. Can you take us? Oh, yes, please do, said Jack. The lion shook his mane. Hold on tight, he roared, bounding out of Trafalgar Square. Oh my goodness, how people stared, but the lion didn't mind. This is much better than lying on that stone all day, he said. You have no idea how cold my tummy gets. Now, where shall we go? You choose, yelled Katie and Jack. The lion took them to St. Paul's Cathedral first. They gazed up at the enormous dome. It makes me feel very small, said Jack. Makes me feel dizzy, laughed the lion. But off we must go, as there's still so much more to see. Next, the lion took Katie and Jack to an old castle. The Tower of London, said the lion. Ghosts of kings and queens haunt the towers. Katie shivered and held Jack's hand. Don't worry, they only come out after midnight, said the lion. But you can see their jewels and crowns. The crown jewels were in a small, special room. It was quite a tight squeeze for the lion. The jewels sparkled like stars in the night sky, but in all sorts of colours: green emeralds, red rubies and blue sapphires. Afterwards, the lion pretended that he was a ghost and he chased Jack and Katie. Excuse me, called a man in an old-fashioned costume, but you're scaring my ravens. Who's he? Whispered Katie. He's a yeoman warder, said the lion. He thinks that the tower will fall down if the ravens leave. I think it's time to go. The lion decided to carry them across the River Thames. They trotted on to Tower Bridge. Suddenly an alarm sounded and the lights flashed. A boat was coming and the bridge was opening to let it through. Stop! Yelled Katie, but the lion didn't stop. He jumped. My goodness me. Are they going to end up in the River Thames. But instead of landing on the other side, they landed on the boat. They chugged along the river, passing great ships and going under dark bridges. Look, that's the Globe Theatre, said the Lion. Shakespeare wrote some fine plays that were performed there, although very few of them have lions in them. What's that big wheel over there? Asked Jack. It must be the London Eye, said Katy. Why don't we go on it? You don't expect me to go on that thing, said the Lion, as they all jumped off the boat. Before the Lion could say another word, Katy bustled him on board the London Eye. Slowly the wheel turned and they rose high above London. The poor Lion turned rather pale and began to shake, but soon even he couldn't help enjoying the view. He pointed to Big Ben. Goodness me, it's nearly 11 o'clock. We must hurry. As they came down, Big Ben chimed 11 times. Katy and Jack jumped onto the Lion and they raced across the bridge, past the huge clock, past Houses of Parliament. Then they hopped in and out of queues in the traffic, past taxis and red double-decker buses, past parks and grand buildings. They could hear music and drums. It's the changing of the guard, said the Lion. Follow me. Left, right, left, right, left, right. The Lion marched behind the guardsman in time to the music. Katy and Jack followed all the way to the gates of Buckingham Palace. Sorry, said a policeman, only royal guards are allowed through here. So Katy and Jack jumped on the Lion and he walked on past the palace. They'd hoped to see a real prince or princess. Instead, they noticed a lot of flags and crests with lions on them. The Lion smiled. I'm very well known by the royal family. Why is that? Asked Katy. Because the Lion is called the King of the Beasts, said the Lion proudly. And as they galloped away, perhaps they did catch a glimpse of someone waving from a palace window. By now, the Lion's paws were beginning to ache, so they all sat in a leafy park. The Lion dangled his paws in a cool lake. Jack bought ice creams with his own pocket money. Oh, delicious, said the Lion. I love Tutti Frutti. How are your paws? Asked Katy. Rather sore, admitted the Lion. I'm not used to all this walking. Perhaps we can catch a bus back to Trafalgar Square. I love the picture of this duck. He's looking rather alarmed to find a lion in his pond. A policeman told them to catch a number 9 bus from Harrods, the big department store. I wish I didn't have to go back, said the Lion sadly. Don't you like Trafalgar Square? Asked Katy. Of course, said the Lion, but I do get such a very cold tummy lying on the stone all that time. Jack whispered in Katy's ear and they both smiled. They went inside Harrods and came out a few minutes later with a small parcel. Then they jumped onto the bus. Can you spot them? Up at the top, squeezed in there, look. and they travelled back to Trafalgar Square. "This is for you," said Jack, handing the parcel from Harrods to the lion. "We bought it for you with the last of our pocket money." The lion unwrapped it and laughed. "It's a woolly blanket." It's to keep your tummy warm," said Katy. "How kind you are," sighed the lion. "Thanks for showing us London," said Jack. "Next time I'll show you even more," said the lion. Then Katy saw that Grandma was waking up. The lion hopped on his stone and kept very still. As the sun went in, he turned from gold to grey. "Hello, you two," said Grandma. "Shall we go off to see the sights now?" "Oh," says Katy, "I'm much too tired. I need a rest," said Jack. And they both flopped down on a bench and fell fast asleep. And that is the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed it.